let's be honest, it's not called a blade. We're gonna stop calling it that. Just a caveat to start off, I don't really know what I'm talking about, so you probably shouldn't listen to me. But I do spend quite a bit of time out in the garage sharpening chain because I want to run a sharp chain. It's very frustrating as a saw operator to run a dull chain. I've been there, I've ran many dull chains. It's not good for the saw. It's not good for your bar. It's not good for the chain. This is your chain. This is your bar. They're not called blades. For chainsaws, there are two different types of chain sharpening you can do. You can do round with a round file, and it looks like this. This is an Oregon 7/32 round file for round chain, and I've used a ton of them. I just like these. I've used notch, I've used steel, I've used a lot of different round files. I like the way the Oregon file works. The other style is square file or square grind. That is more of in a production logging setting. Round file is a little bit more for the home user. If you know how to file a chain, this probably isn't the video for you. I just want to share my experience, what I personally do. I do not like the trinkets. I do not like the gauges. I do not like the ads you see on Instagram where they roll something through, and I don't know. I think you should just be able to take a round file and sharpen your chain. It took me a long time to kind of grasp it. It's not something I think you can learn in a day, but if you stick it out and you try it and you keep doing it over and over again, you'll finally get the muscle memory and be okay at it. I feel like I'm okay at it. I'm not a savant, but I can make a round file chain cut. So for a 3/8 chain, which is the spacing, I believe how you get it is the spacing between the rivets, but still calls for a different size file, but we're Get the Gullet fans here. 7/32 is what I've used for all 3/8 chain, and for a long time I didn't. And when I switched over, I noticed a big difference. So I think it is important to have a 7/32 round file. You're not gonna find that in an Ace Hardware under the Stihl section. I do not know that Stihl offers a 7/32 file in the homeowner section. You usually have to walk over to the Oregon section and get the 7/32 file. That's in most standard homeowner shops for hardware stores. This is a, not necessary, but this is a file handle. It's a Nicholson's, not necessary, but it does keep things comfortable. I like to file following the guide that's on the back of the teeth. A lot of people are specific about degrees and angles, but I really think that's something you develop a feel for over time. I don't think there's a specific degree that you can really go after. I mean, the hand file gauge will give you a degree, but it's really something I think you should be able to feel out. And I just usually go with the guide that's on the back of the tooth. So I like to be straight, level, up and down, usually about 30 degrees or so. I don't know what that is. That's not a 45. Just follow the guide on the back usually is what I'll do. And you don't, I mean, you can angle it up and down to get the gullet out of the tooth. You really don't want a lot of play in your left and right. You can do some up and down stuff to get the gullet out, but you don't want to mess with your angle to the left and to the right, because that's going to change how the file is stroking your top plate, and that's going to change how sharp your tooth is. It might be weaker in one spot than the other. So you can have what seems to be a sharp chain, and then after 2 or 3 cuts, your chain's not doing as good because there were weak points in your top plate. So I'll help you out here. Turn your light on. There we go. This is your top plate. This is your side plate. In here, this section that a lot of people sometimes will miss, that's the gullet. This here, the other half of the chain that I feel like is neglected by a lot of people, that's your depth gauge, or what a lot of people call a raker, or some people call them drags. That is a very important piece of the equation that I think it's necessary if you want a smooth cutting chain, that you're gonna have to get yourself a raker gauge. Personally, I've used the West Coast plate. I like it, but I think it's, for the East Coast, I feel like it's a little bit hungry. I didn't have any problems when I went out to Oregon. So I think the West Coast plate is a little bit hungry. I like its ergonomics, but I feel that it is a little bit hungry for some of the East Coast wood. I don't know if I'm using the depth gauge wrong or anything like that, but I know when I use the Husqvarna, this raker gauge here, that I do not have any of the hungry issues. It seems just like a thousandth higher, or just enough to where I'm not getting caught up in the wood as much. So this Husky depth plate has a hard side and a soft side. I usually do everything on the hard side. I'm rarely in softwood. Not that, I mean, some softwood is harder than hardwood. It's really, I think, I prefer the hard setting on this. And a lot of people will get caught up in the, oh, that's not hardwood, or, I mean, it's wood. Wood is wood. And every species is different, but a cutting chain will cut. How I like to do it is I'll set my saw up in the vise. I'll have the power head about 6 inches back from where the vise is, so I can wrap my arms around the power head and start filing. I like to start by, so I like to start by this indicator. I like to start by this indicator here, and I will start on the right side of the chain, file all the right teeth, and then I will switch to my left hand and I'll file all the left hand teeth. And then after that, I'll do the rakers. You don't have to do the rakers every time, but probably about every other time I'll do the rakers. People who are not filing their rakers with a gauge are missing out, in my opinion, because the chain cuts so much smoother when you're using a depth gauge. And this is not me telling you how to do it. There's a lot of other people out here doing it way better than me. Go to their channels, and if you want better learning content, this is just what I'm doing. I don't know if that's good or not. So it's different playing with angles here. So this is what I'll do. I'll come in to the power head, and I like to just get up and tight and close and personal with this thing. It's kind of an intimate thing, sharpen a saw. I don't know if that sounds weird or not, but you got to get up on it, and you got to be able to see the top of your tooth. So I think I did that one. I'll go flat here, and what I do with my support side hand, it's doing primary amount of the work. I'm not really pushing with this side at all. I'm using my support side hand to drag to drag the file. Okay, and then what I'll do after that is I'll take, on the back side, I'll take my file and I'll push it up until I get to the next tooth, which I think I did this one already too. Sure, and then I'll push it up, do the next one. Push it up, do the next one. Do the next one. Do the next one. And you want to stay even here because that's what is filing your top plate. And the more even you stay there, the more consistent that's going to be. I mean, this chain's pretty much on its last leg. So I'll push it up and then I'll go right into the next one. So I don't know if you can really see here, but there's a little bit of material of the gullet that I got to get. So I'll get that. And then there's the burr right there. So, and a lot of times if your file fills up, I'll just give it a quick tap and knock all those filings out of there. You don't want too much of a point there. There you go. That's good. So when it comes time to do the other side, basically I'll go from doing it like this and I'll switch to doing it like this. You're not gonna know how many strokes it will take to sharpen a tooth. You're just gonna have to see that the tooth is sharp. You're gonna have to get the burr off, and once the burr's off, you pretty much know that you're good to go. There it goes. So like that tooth there is now good. I did not count the strokes on that tooth. I had to feel it out. And that is this tooth here. I don't know if you can see that. So this tooth here is sharp now. I mean, there's essentially no gullet in it. And once the raker's done, it's good. I like to be up on the power saw and just getting it. All keeping the same angle. I mean, you can fluctuate going up and down, but keeping the same angle on the top plate is what gets you sharp. And you can change a little bit to make sure it lines up with that back, but you don't want to waver very much. And that's good. And go to the next one. It takes some time to be able to feel all this stuff out. You're not going to get it on your first chain. It took me a long time to develop the feel in the hand to get a sharp chain. There's some people who count their strokes, 3 strokes a tooth. In my experience, you just get too dull if you do that.
in my experience, your chain will dull out a lot faster if you don't go until your top plate's good. See, if you don't go until the burr flips off, I think you're kind of wasting your time, because you're gonna have to file it almost as soon. You're gonna have to file it again almost as soon as you start cutting. I don't know if I can get you guys up to where you can kind of see the top plate. So that's the tooth we just filed. Let me take that out of there so you guys get a better view on it. The raker's a little high, but that's essentially the shape you're going for. You don't want your top beak to be too overlapped, because then it'll fold over. I'm gonna hit that. So I'm gonna hit this raker real quick, and then I'm gonna show you what it'll look like after that. So in my opinion, there is a good looking round file tooth right there. It takes a little bit of time to do some of these longer bars, but I think it's worth it to run a sharp chain, you know. It's a little bit toasty in the garage. I know you can get those Husky depth plates at Ripsaw. I love it. I know you can get them a lot of places. That's the only depth plate I found that I'm not too hungry with. And then for 3/8 chain, the 7/32 round file is awesome. And another thing that I didn't share for these rakers, I think these are furred. They make specific raker flat files. Any flat file will work, but I do enjoy these furred flat files. I use their goofy file too for the square filing that I do. Hopefully that helps on the little bit of round file. A little bit of knowledge transfer there. Hopefully it helps somebody. I'm just not the type of person who can mess with a guide. I need to be able to do it freehand. I think some of the guides that work good for the Pico chain and stuff like that, I still kind of just prefer to do it by hand. Thanks for joining me on this one. See you on the next one. Comment down below with questions or thoughts. I appreciate you guys spending your time here. Thanks. Bye.